Hey, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but this is Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit, one half of the creative team behind DungeonSwag.com. And I am going to make something today, and I don't know what yet. Oh, yeah, I do. We are playing a space-themed, kind of like a Star Wars-y campaign. So I am going to make a quick building to buff out my table array of what there's available to do. Now, I don't use a lot of money for my non-miniature stuff. I tend to, well, I don't even do that on miniatures anymore. I print my own minis. And I make everything from scratch. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this can, if you can see it, Cafe Bustelo Espresso Ground Coffee, yum. They are not a sponsor. We don't rate having sponsors. We're new. The channel's been around for a while, but I just never really made time to do anything. But I wanted to show you guys how to make some quick buildings, because it seems like a lot of the channels that I used to like that would make stuff kind of over time got more and more expensive in what they were working with. This is obviously the dullest knife on earth. Oh, well, that was stuck to super glue. That is why that would not cut. I was like, man, that knife is dull. So anyways, what I'm doing here is getting some strips so we can start fleshing out the shape of this building. Now, this mat is probably, I don't know, 10 years old or more. And it is not in pristine condition. It's supposed to be one of those self-healing mats that closes back up when you cut. But it does not do that very well. It never really did, actually. I don't know what brand this is. This one is a Tech Tools. Ooh, fancy. So I don't know how many of these we're going to need, but I'll just cut a couple extras and we'll use them for trim and stuff too. I tend to use my knife to do all this kind of like repetitive cutting, and then I jump into the scissors for some of the finer stuff sometimes, or if I'm being lazy. I don't, on medieval terrain, I don't spend a lot of time measuring. On space terrain, it just depends on the day, really, like futuristic stuff. And on modern stuff, I do some measuring, unless it's like dilapidated, like my first book I'm working on, not book, but resource guide for role playing is called Tomorrow Comes Doom, and it's like a modern era RPG based off of different events that could cause the end of the world. And so I've done like some gas stations and stuff like that, and it's not fast, easy crafts like this. It's like more in depth, looking at reference photos, building stuff, more intense paint jobs. Just stuff like that. So this is probably close to what we need. So I have a hot glue gun. It's a Shore Bonder, and I've had this for quite a while. I don't know if they're very good or not. I burn hot glue guns up, then I buy new hot glue guns. That's kind of how I roll. So it looks like what I'm going to do is I'm going to come around the sides and the goal here is not perfection. It's speed. Because if you want to populate a table and you're running different types of campaigns, you don't want to waste all your time building perfect terrain. Now, in the case of like my modern buildings and stuff that I was telling you that I put a lot of like measuring and stuff, yeah, because I plan on keeping those forever. But something like this, unless it turns out spectacular, chances are it'll get used and I'll donate it to a game shop or give it to somebody I know that can use it. I don't invest enormous amounts of time into figuring out where I'm going to keep everything. Now, in my house, I do have a Dungeons and Dragons room, and that is quite a blessing. My wife and I have worked really hard to make that a dream. So when we bought our first house together, that was one of the things we had to have is a D&D room. And I'm very lucky that we were able to get that. But there's still, I have such an enormous collection of stuff from 34 years of playing D&D that we just can't keep everything. And how fair would that be for everyone else if we kept it all? So we're just going to keep adding layers. And you'll see that I have, while I was getting this piece ready, I also reloaded my glue gun because I kind of, at my age, I've been doing this so long, I know that the glue is almost gone even without looking most of the time. It's kind of sad, but that's just what it is. So we're getting good effect here. And what's really cool is with no plan, quite soon, we're going to start to have something to look at. So this gap here, since I didn't measure anything, and they're all the same length because I cut them from the same paper, we are going to use that gap as like the front of this structure. And then we're going to keep wrapping around here with this. And I don't know what materials we're going to use yet. I have some ideas now as I'm working on it. I'm thinking like probably a drinking straw, or two. Maybe some coffee stirrers. But cardboard's going to be the primary, not cardboard, I should say, cardstock, this stuff. I've heard some people call it chipboard, and I think it's because of some channels they watch or something that call it that. I don't know. I've always called it cardstock. I'm not sure what the technical name for it is. If you're wondering why I have these beautiful, nice sheets, my son actually worked at Cedar Point a couple of years ago, and they would throw these out. They were part of the packaging for like the crap the prizes came in. So as they threw it away, he would take it and bring it to me, and I am getting really low on it, but it is one of my favorite resources that I use because I have had so much of it, and it was free. And I like to build all my stuff as cheap as I can. None of my builds are super expensive. Even like when I do gas stations and stuff, the secret to those builds isn't how much money I spent, but it's how much time I invested and how much thought I put into what I was going to do. And then like I've done some other stuff too. I've built like trailers, like for a trailer park and stuff. But unfortunately, because I don't measure, their scale is a little wonky compared to some stuff. So you figure like the base of an average miniature is 25 millimeters or whatever, 28. I don't know what the actual measurement is, but it represents 5 foot because it's 1 inch on the battlefield. So in most games where movement is based off of 5 foot is an inch, what you tend to find is it's not rational to think that a camper is going to be 15 foot wide, so you have room for 2 people to stand side by side always. Sometimes you got to make it smaller. Now, if they had a better basing system, or if miniatures could freestand without falling over easily, that would change it drastically. That is not the case, my dudes. So my son was looking at the channel, and he's kind of the reason I'm here with you this evening doing this. He pointed out that I had made videos years ago and never touched them. And the reason I really never touched them is because, like I said, I didn't put time into it. Plus, we've been working on Dungeon Swag, which is our subscription miniature service. There was a time where money was a problem in my life and in my partner's life that I run the company with. And getting affordable miniatures that were decent in quality was just not an option. So right when COVID was kind of going on, we were thinking of things we could do because we saw a lot of people were starting to play D&D. We were trying to think of things we could do to make it more accessible to everybody. So what we did is we found a way to make affordable miniatures. So basically it's like 6, 7, 8 miniatures depending on the month and what miniatures they are, for like 15, 16 bucks. I think it's $15.99 is the box right now, and the majority of it is not profit. The shipping is included in that. So if you're looking for a bunch of D&D minis or Pathfinder minis or whatever it is you play, and you're on a budget, we work with a guy named Sven out of Sweden, who, of all the artists we've talked to, we liked his miniatures the best. And we worked out a deal with him to where we can keep the price down on owning the rights to use the prints. So he has a merchant package available to everybody. Well, I think they're actually have been sold out for a while, but when we started Dungeon Swag, he was newish, so we just really lucked out finding him. So on this last one, see how it doesn't line up right? I could cut one that would fit perfectly, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to overlap it on the bottom, or top I should say, because that's actually the top. So I'm overlapping here. Yes, I did reload my glue gun again. If you're wondering how I keep going that, I've been reloading it just as we go. I don't use the long spool. Alright, so we have this outer core design, and if you see, I had a couple spots where I got a little crazy with the glue and it popped out, but we're going to clean those up. And now we're going to come to the front. And you say, oh, Doom, that doesn't line up perfect. No, it doesn't. But we're going to cover that up. You're not even going to notice. You won't even know, dudes. It'll totally be good. So I'm actually kind of in a rush because I want to paint minis. And I don't get as much free time as I'd like, and I do like to paint minis. Alright, remember I said we're going to cover it up that where it doesn't match up? That's what we're doing right here. And what we're going to do, we're going to force that down. Some extra there, we're going to rub that off. And then with this, instead of trying to cut in those, we're just going to make this like a feature of the building, that those parts go to the top and bottom. We're just going to snip those off right there flush. When I say flush, it's not really flush. What I always do is I angle my scissors a little bit so when I cut it, it's just below. So that way if I set it on a table and there's something that I didn't cut perfect, it doesn't wobble. So we got one. Now, since I didn't measure these strips, they're all willy-nilly. There you go. Alright, so everybody here knows about bit boxes, I'm assuming. It's pretty common practice to have bit boxes. So I'd like to kind of do something with that, but we'll see. Alright, so we're going to take one of these. I don't know if you can see well because I'm actually not holding my camera. We're going to take one of these and we're going to figure out where the top of our door is. And oh, the scissors are getting a little dull. I got a new pair in my car. We're just going to come across. All right, so I messed up right here. If you can see, there's a little bit of a gap, so I'm just going to get a little glue. Do that. And then hope that when we're done with our finished product, it's not that noticeable. Alright, so Now we're going to do this part up here, and we're going to take all the cut-offs first and use those. I'll tell you what, I put on some weight, and for crafting, it has been amazing, because now I have this built-in belly vise that really helps. Hold stuff in place with my fat belly. I'm sure some of you older guys and girls know exactly what I'm talking about, how useful that thing can be. Yes, hot glue is hot. I know, I just burnt myself like a dumbass. Or dumb butt, sorry. Try not to use foul language, so if there's any kids out there crafting, I am actually a pretty bad potty mouth. But I know that D&D, we were 10 when our friend's older brother let him have a D20 and a 2nd edition Dungeon Master's Guide. And that began our adventure. So I assume there are people equally as young still getting into the hobby. Alright, so this last piece perfect-ish. I'm not gonna kid you. I've watched some other crafters. There were a few that I was even subscribed to and like really into watching for a while. But it got out of control. Like, everybody's so good. They're the best. They're the coolest. They're worshipped. They forget, like, they're poor. Like, they started out poor like most of us. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I have, over the years worked up in my field and gone somewhere, and I do okay, but I am by no means wealthy. Alright, so we got, this is the general schmoo of our thing. Now we have to sort out our door situation, so what we're going to do is we're going to continue on with this concept, but we're going to do something a little different after we get it in place. Now, again, this is a quick building, and what we want now is a door. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to guess about how wide that is. And I'm going to line it up for height. So what we're going to do is we're going to curve this around first, so there's a little bit of detail on it. We're going to cut a smaller square. We're going to, so that when we dry brush it and do our details and stuff, we have a little bit of, stuff raised up here and there. Now, if I were mature and smart, I would pre-measure all this, but that is not my strength. So we know this is going to be on a curve, so we're going to just put a little bit of pressure with our thumbs, push it against our fingers and get a little bit of a shape. See if it's kind of there. Yeah, it's kind of there. We're going to get this ready with some glue. Throw that on there. Try to line it up the best we can, make everything squared. Doesn't have to be perfect. See that? We got it on there. And we're just going to cut it. And remember I said I angle the scissors so nothing sticks out and makes it wobbly. Okay, so now we got ourselves a door. And our top is kind of boring. Now, with these metal cans especially, you're going to want to rough it up a little bit. This is just like a Dollar Tree sanding block. But if you don't do anything with that, what's going to end up happening is, I don't know if you can tell that. Yeah, you can see it pretty well. It's scratched up. So now we're going to need something for the top. Now, we could just go generic and do some kind of, metal or plastisteel or something. But I have a bits box here. And I have some lids and caps and such. So let me find something quickly. I said quickly, what I meant was eventually. Let's see. I don't have anything laid out either. Alright. Not a problem. Alright, here we go. Anything in my drawer? There we go. Look at that. We have that. That's no good. Pill bottle lid would be ideal right now. Oh, there we go. Alright, so I have a HeroClix base that I have taken the hero off of. Oh, let me get a different one. That one's acting bad at me. Oh, I know what to do. You can take these apart somehow. I did it once upon a time. I could probably do it again. There we go. So we get this HeroClix base. And what I do is I just put a little bit on the inside. Center it the best I can. Might not be perfect, might be perfect. I had this old soda pop cap. I know all over the US they call it different stuff. When I was in the Army, some people actually called every brand of it Coke, which I thought was amazing. So if you don't like getting burnt and you want to clean up these edges, you can just kind of run your gun around like that. But I don't really care if I get burnt too much. I don't have a whole lot of feeling in my hands and stuff. Alright, here we go. So we need to prime it. A lot of people are going to go at this point, we need to use Mod Podge and stuff, or we need to black bomb it. You know what, dude? Here's the secret. Every project looks different in the end no matter what you do. So, as long as you clean up as you go and don't destroy your work area, and as long as you either finish a project or toss what you don't need of it, you will be okay. It won't always be perfect. Oh, check this out. Super Strat. Alright. I'm going to put a little deal with buttons on this. So what I'm going to do is I just cut this tiny little piece of cardboard. I'm going to put a dab of glue on it and make a control panel for the front door of this structure. And you know what else we're going to do? Just so I can show you something that I do all the time that you might enjoy. These, have you ever, some of you guys might know what I'm talking about. These are like, people do these little paintings with beads and they come with a little thing and you take these little beads and get them wet or put them on glue or something. I'm not sure how it works. And they make paintings. Like my wife's done some of them and that's where this came from. And then this is just clear glue I'm putting here. You don't need that much. So this is a good way to add rivets to anything to make it look, to make sure that people aren't mistaking this for something it's not. So you just, there you go. Look at that, like magic. So to make sure that you get them centered, what you like, so they don't look all wonky and in different proportions, start at the top and bottom. Try to make sure they're centered the best you can. And they don't have to be perfect. And then you want to get to the center here. See that? As close to the center as you can. Try to, eyeball it. In the center again. And then you'll know if you're getting overboard with these. Oops. I just shot a bunch of them everywhere. Why not? But you'll know if you're getting overboard with these pretty quick. So now there's no mistake that this is, a sheet of metal with some, rivets. We'll do the same thing on this side. And then we'll add a drinking straw, and then we'll take a break. Talk about some stuff. Come off there, you son of a gun. There we go. Alright. Now, I know this is probably getting pretty long, so maybe I'll break this up and put it in 2 videos. We'll see in a second here. I don't know how long people like to watch videos for. I often, when I'm painting miniatures and stuff, I just go for it, Whoop, drop that son of a gun. So if you hear my fan in the background, having running ventilation, garage door open with a fan when you're crafting in general, does 2 things for you. 1, kind of refreshes your air and keeps it clean. And 2, it helps things dry faster. Stagnant dampness in a garage like where I craft at, which my garage isn't really that bad, but it's pretty nice. But in general, the stagnant damp air in garages and stuff generally is not great for miniature drawing, but if you have some air moving, it'll definitely help your cause. I also am a big cheater. A lot of people hate that I use a hair dryer. I gave a painting class at a school a few years ago. Somebody asked me, the art teacher asked me to do it, and I did, and they were shocked that I used that a hair dryer to dry my acrylics. So there's the basic structure of the building. I'm going to toss one more thing on here. And you're like, Doom, I can't cut straight lines. I can't either. Who cares? Do the best you can. Look at that, man. Bam. Put that bad boy on there. Center it the best we can. Again, perfection, not a prerequisite for beauty or fun or enjoyable building. So, we could definitely use some rivets on that. It looks like a big piece of metal. Money. So, remember what I said? Start on the edges. I'm going to do top and bottom on this, so try to get those reasonably close to the corner. Go to the other edges. Same deal, man. Woman, child, whoever's listening. You want to get now, I don't know what other people use for rivets. I watched this one British dude who, if I could remember his name, I'd tell you, because I subscribe to the dude. I like his videos. He makes like all these little bots and stuff. He makes rivets out of all kind of stuff. I've even seen him cut up cardboard little teeny squares. It's just very tedious, and I don't... I'm just not into that kind of commitment. Again, this might see the rest of the use in this campaign once or twice, and I might hand this off to somebody. So though I have a goblin village I built in a Tupperware box that I've been trying to give away for quite a long time, and people are like, this is a giant Tupperware box with an entire like bunch of terrain in it. And I'm like, yeah, it's a free Goblin Village. Take it. No one wants it. So here we go. This is the unfinished result. We can flesh that door out with some framing if we want. That might not look bad. So what we'll do is we will just, I should have done that with scissors, that would have been easier. Here we go. Almost perfect. Just like Grandma used to make. Like, when I say not perfect, like, obviously I mean, like, not perfect. Who cares? If somebody's picking up your pieces and inspecting them for quality, tell them to get the hell off your table. Dude, what are you doing, man? We're playing a game for fun, to hang out with friends, family, loved ones, and other dorks alike. We are not here to impress everyone we know. Though, I will be honest with you, if you have an encounter and they're used to you having stuff like this all the time, and then you have an encounter where you don't set up a bunch of stuff, they're always like, oh no, is this a boss fight? And you're like, no, I'm lazy, and I didn't want to use the same terrain again and again and again. I mean, you're always going to have some stuff you use all the time, like trees. I have like 4 or 5 different types of trees I use. You know, I have like giant elven trees that you can put people in with flat platforms that I've built that open up like it's like a round piece that pops open. I have little store-bought trees. I have some pine trees that I don't even know what the heck they came from. I just have a bunch of different types of trees. So all we got to do is fill this little gap here, and then we're done. And then I'm going to take a break and prime this, and then we're going to come back and we're going to paint it. And I'm sure the second video is going to be much shorter. Remember a curve? So, if you're a smoker or someone who owns a lighter, you have those little wispies. I recommend for wispies getting like one of those long grill lighters that you see at like Walmart and Lowe's and stuff. They're like, it's like a lighter with a click button and it has a long plastic piece. Those would be ideal for something like what I do, but I just, like I said, I don't really care if I get burned a little bit. We lost a thing here. We lost a rivet, but now it's back. Alright, so I'll see you guys. Thank you for watching. This is my futuristic trash build, quick building. And we'll come back and paint it when it's primed.